Coming up today on Good Morning BU, a homegrown virus variant? Why Boston University is denying rumors that its COVID-19 research lab is dangerous to the community.
And how's this for a counter-protest? Sydney Top was at Boston Common as an anti-abortion protest received some unique visitors.
BU gets ready for the regatta. I spoke with coaches and crew to get a sense for how they are getting ready for the Charles River race.
The Biden administration is going green. Stephanie Joseph sat down with a culture author and senior lecturer to discuss the impacts of President Biden's landmark executive order.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now. Hello and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Addison Cummings.
And I'm Alex Dowd. Here are today's top stories. Boston University is denying reports that COVID-19 research at one of its labs created a deadly new variant. The university's National Emerging Infectious Disease Laboratories, or NEDL, says that the research was aimed at investigating what part of the virus determines the severity of an infected person's symptoms. The denial comes after reporting in the British newspaper The Daily Mail suggested that NEDL's research created a strain with an 80% kill rate. BU has asserted the research is not only purely investigative, but reviewed and approved by the Institutional Biosafety Committee, a group of scientists confirmed by the Boston Health Commission.
Liz Truss is out as UK Prime Minister after just 44 days in office, the shortest term in British history. Truss resigned from party leadership yesterday after criticism the nation could not afford unemployment. In her resignation speech, Truss said she felt she could not succeed in the current climate.
And we set out a vision for a low-tax, high-growth economy that would take advantage of the freedoms of Brexit. I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party.
Protesters disrupt Mayor Wu's mass and cast press conference as they laid for her to do more. Just minutes into her conference on Thursday, Wu cut her update short as protesters drowned her out with chants. Wu's administration has been undergoing efforts for the past 10 months to clear the homeless encampments that have cropped up near Massachusetts Avenue and Molnia Cass Boulevard. Wu has argued for more state funding to help deal with the problem, while protesters argue that she is shifting blame.
And Massachusetts Gubernatorial debate is still going on. Here in Massachusetts, the governor's race is hitting its final stretch. And last night, the candidates faced off in their final debate. Democratic candidate Maura Healey appeared alongside Jeff Deal in the debate ahead of the election on November 8th. Candidates touched on a plethora of issues from energy to abortion to infrastructure and transportation. The debate kicked off with both candidates affirming whether or not they would support the results of this election.
Absolutely.
Unhesitatingly, absolutely.
Absolutely. And look, this is a difference in this race because my opponent is an election denier. He supports election deniers out there.
Mr. Deal, same question to you. Will you accept the results of the November 8th election?
Absolutely. And I've already said
Unhesitatingly.
Absolutely. And I already said I accepted the results of the 2020 election. Of course, Joe Biden is our president. My 401k and a lot of people's are becoming 201ks right now because of it. The fact of the matter is, it's okay to question elections.
Later in the debate, Healey emphasized that her greatest concern was helping residents struggling with high prices.
You know, we have got to do everything we can for families. They're hurting. I understand that. I understand right now it's really hard to pay for health care, for gas, for groceries, for heating, for housing, for so much. And I promise you as governor, I am going to work my tail off to make sure that we are doing all we can.
Deal, by contrast, slammed Healey's fight against oil companies, blaming that and her support of President Biden for the economic downturn. He says that his governorship would create more help for Massachusetts residents and push back against Democratic politicians in the state.
First of all, you need to have balance up on Beacon Hill. You need to have a Republican governor to balance the very left-leaning legislature that right now has $8 billion in excess tax revenue and refuses to give back the $3 billion that she talked about, even when everybody knows they're due that money.
On the issue of current tax surplus, Healy refused to commit to a hypothetical tax increase in the event of an economic downturn, while Deal stressed fiscal responsibility.
I'm not going to commit to particular pledges. I will commit to doing this. Recognizing right now we've got a serious issue with inflation. So many families and businesses are struggling with affordability. I'm very focused as well on Massachusetts competitiveness, and I don't want to see employers or businesses going elsewhere.
You know, I understand that the state has that surplus. I think what they need to do is manage to hold on to the surplus, you know, beyond the $3 billion that's supposed to be returned, and make sure they've got that in the rainy day fund for what could potentially be a major economic meltdown right now.
Healy is leading in the race by 23 points, according to a Boston Globe poll released this week. You can keep it here to BUTV 10 for all of your election coverage in the lead up to November 8th.
Coming up, clowning around in the Common for a cause. Sydney Top was on the ground to speak with participants of the Boston Clown Parade.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's 547.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hey, Gabby, how you doing? How's the play date and sleepover?
Dad, it was great.
Awesome. Okay, I'm on my way. Hey, guys, what are you doing?
We're going swimming. We're going biking. Yeah!
I'll see you in a little bit, guys. I love you.
Hi, babe. How was school today?
Hi, Dad. It was great.
Okay, honey. I'll be home soon. Remember, you're never too far away from your kids to be a dad. Reach out and take a second to check in, because sometimes the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Welcome back. Men's rights activists took to the streets of Boston this weekend to promote anti-abortion sentiments, but they were joined on the streets by some unusual company. Sydney Toff was there to speak to some of their counter-protesting clowns in attendance.
If you were out on the Boston Common this weekend, you might have seen a peculiar sight. In front of the State House, a large group of men in suits gathered. Across from them, a collection of students and clowns. The men were anti-abortion protesters affiliated with the broader Men's Rights March. The counter-protesters were with the Boston Clown Music Parade, dressed up in clown gear, and accompanied protesters in an effort to, as they say, cheer up the solemn men involved with the men's rights protest and protect women's rights. Organized on Twitter, the parade encouraged individuals who can play instruments and care about reproductive rights to show up and play. People who can't play instruments were also invited to come and dress in festive and colorful clothing. Megan Spencer and Shay Bagtez both dressed up as clowns for the parade.
Have it in our home city is so surreal and just way too close to home. And if we can do anything to deter these people from coming back, we're going to take those steps.
Shay felt showing up as a clown would make people focus on them and not give attention to the Men's Rights March.
To take away the seriousness from them and, kind of draw attention towards us, something more fun and more exciting.
Organizers and speakers for the Men's March emphasize that men are excluded from abortion decisions, and 53-year-old John Harding agrees.
Abortion is presented as the only option for a young woman. And, there are consequences to the men, too. The men have to live with it, too, because they, not going to have a child without the man.
But counter-protesters firmly disagreed, including men like Alessandro Altavilla.
It's not my choice. It's that simple. It's as easy as the world keeps spinning. A woman gets an abortion, okay.
Thanks, Sydney. City officials in Boston might not be getting a raise after all. Mayor Michelle Wu vetoed the city council's wage hike Monday after stating her concerns that the proposed wage hike might be too high. Wu asserted any pay increase should be, quote, square with the increases of our frontline workers have received. The bill could pass despite Wu's objections, with 9 votes required for an override.
Haverhill Public School doors swing open again this morning after an agreement is finally made between the teachers union and the school committee. The school district's 8,000 students were stuck at home as classes were suspended for 4 days during a teachers' strike in the district. Educators, parents, and students swarmed City Hall as they fought to close the vast wage gap between the teachers and educators in neighboring districts. After negotiations that even involved former Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, the two sides struck an agreement in the late hours of the night last night for a revised wage structure, as well as addressing student safety and teacher diversity. Since public employee strikes are illegal in Massachusetts, involved teachers are facing sanctions for their movements.
Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley are going on a road trip. The lawmakers are teaming up to encourage residents across the state to sign up for student debt cancellation. Warren has advocated for canceling $50,000 in student loan debt since her presidential run in 2020. She and Pressley joined the Biden administration last month collecting state-by-state data on the effects of debt cancellation. In Massachusetts alone, over 813,000 borrowers would benefit. They're taking off on their trip Tuesday and passing through Boston, Brockton, Worcester, and Springfield.
Massachusetts counts among its symbols a state flower, a state fish, and a state insect. Now a new member is joining the state family. The Podecasaurus holeocanus is now the official state dinosaur of Massachusetts. Governor Charlie Baker signed the bill into law Wednesday, making Massachusetts the 13th state to declare an official state dinosaur. Governor Baker and Karen Polito and all other lawmakers spoke at the ceremonial signing in the Boston Museum of Science. Baker says the goal of this new state addition is to engage children from across the state in STEM education. And whatever you call it, weed, pot, cannabis, or even Mary Jane, I'm sure you've been hearing about it a lot recently with the Biden administration's recent federal marijuana pardon. Coming up next, our interview correspondent Stephanie Joseph spoke to culture author and lecturer Seth Blumenthal.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Visit ready.gov/earthquake today.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try.
Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Welcome back. 2 weeks ago, the Biden administration pardoned all federal offenses of simple marijuana possession, the administration's first major step towards decriminalization of marijuana. In an effort to learn more about the pardons, correspondent Stephanie Joseph sat down with culture author and lecturer Seth Blumenthal.
President Biden's latest executive action to pardon simple marijuana possession is expected to impact thousands of individuals. But experts say there's more to know about the scope of these pardons. I'm joined now by BU College of Arts and Sciences professor Seth Blumenthal, who's known for teaching courses about the history and marketing of cannabis. Professor Blumenthal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, Stephanie.
So let's get started. What exactly would this pardon do?
It won't do much. This is mostly a symbolic gesture. For example, it doesn't pardon undocumented folks. It only affects people who are incarcerated at the federal level, which is a tiny proportion of the people who are arrested in the war on drugs. Most of that is at the state level.
Here in Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker had said that he will be sticking to the state's expungement law. And Attorney General Maura Healey, who we also know is running for governor, says she would actually take that step to issue the pardons. So let's talk about the difference between the expungement law and a pardon.
Essentially, in Massachusetts, cannabis has been decriminalized and we have total expungement. So in this state, really, Biden's policies don't change anything.
The ACLU study had found that Black people were around 3 times more likely to get arrested for marijuana possession compared to their white counterparts. So do you think that Biden's pardon is a logical first step towards closing that gap?
Any effort to shift cannabis away from the justice system, away from enforcement and into the area of public health would benefit people who are marginalized and have been most hurt by the war on drugs, specifically people of color, Black communities that have been ravaged by this policy. We've seen ways in which that shift from the criminalization of cannabis to a more public health focus and the rescheduling will really change the dynamic of how people think about cannabis. We've seen how important it is in states that have legalized cannabis that they have medical marijuana first, that reframing of the user, of cannabis, of the dealer as a doctor, right, that it's something that's being literally prescribed. This shifts our notion of the stigma around cannabis and really has been a game changer in public opinion.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Professor Blumenthal. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Stephanie. Glad to help.
Thanks, Steph. Coming up next, we'll kick it over to Bobby Serafin for sports. Nice.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow. I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back. From women's field hockey to the world's largest three-day river race in the world, BU Sports is heating up this weekend. Here to break it down is Bobby Serafin.
Thanks, Addison. While the weather around Comm Ave is getting colder, Boston University's women's field hockey team is getting hotter. On Tuesday, the Terriers knocked off the number 23 ranked Maine Black Bears by a final of 5-2. In BU's second win against a ranked opponent this season, sophomore Peyton Anderson played hero as she recorded her first ever collegiate hat trick to help end Maine's 10-game win streak. The Terriers continue to sit atop the Patriot League with a conference record of 4-1. A win against second-place Bucknell next Saturday would guarantee BU the number 1 overall seed in the conference tournament, as well as the opportunity to host even though they've played their entire season away from New Balance Field. Going indoors, the men's and women's hockey teams battle familiar foes this weekend. Following a weekend split in number 6 Michigan, the men host another top team as the number 14th ranked Yukon Huskies come to Addison Arena for a 2-game set. The Huskies have yet to lose this season, but BU has other plans, with the Terriers looking to avenge last season's playoff loss against Yukon at the Excel Center. Outside of Boston, the women's team travels to Chestnut Hill for their first crack against rival BC. The Terriers have won 5 of their last 7 games against the Eagles, but are coming off an overtime loss against UNH last weekend. With women's puck drops scheduled for 6 p.m. at the Conte Forum and the men's set for 7 at Addison Arena, expect an exciting weekend for all BU hockey fans. Finally, this weekend, BU's own DeWolf Boathouse will play host to the Head of the Charles Regatta, the world's largest rowing competition. More than 70 competitive events will be hosted across the 3-day weekend, and this week, all 3 of BU's Division I crew programs, men's and women's openweight and women's lightweight teams, are preparing for the competition. Women's openweight head coach Madeline Davis-Tully shares that the competition concerns more than just current team members.
We have a lot of alumni coming back. We are racing 3 alumni 8s, 2 8s and a 4. So we have the opportunity to bring alumni back, get them back in a racing shell, get them to meet the current team, which is always fun.
Terriers are looking to defend their champions title from the Patriot League last year. They're looking to defend it this weekend on home soil through focused preparation.
My teammates and I have been out rowing on the river every morning, practicing the turns, because this course is you have to have a lot of strategy to make it down really quick.
Thanks, Bobby. Coming up next, looking for some laughs, music, or even some fresh produce this weekend? Chloe Adams has you covered with this week's Terrier Trend report.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream.
No, because they caught us with
that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts? Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Welcome back. With Parents' Weekend coming up, you might be finding yourself with a lot of downtime with your folks. What better way to spend that than by seeing what Boston has to offer? GMBU Arts and Entertainment correspondent Chloe Adams is here with all you need to know. Take it away, Chloe.
Music is medicine, especially for Noah Cyrus. The singer is on tour for her Hardest Part album, and tomorrow she's headed to Boston's Paradise Rock Club. The most recent setlist included some of her latest songs, like Unfinished, alongside other songs such as July from previous albums. Tickets are sold out on the singer's website, but others are still available on websites like Ticketmaster and StubHub if you want to come through. If you're looking for some laughs, Adam Sandler is performing at Fenway's MGM Music Hall this Sunday and Monday at 8 p.m. as part of his stand-up comedy tour. Although not much is known about his act, it'll play out with the performance that will feature a surprise guest. Sandler's opening night was just yesterday in Connecticut, but tonight he's on his way to Pennsylvania's PPL Center. Saturday, he's headed to his hometown of Manchester, New Hampshire for a performance at the SNHU Arena. Tickets are selling out, so hurry while you can. And finally, if you're looking to buy some fresh food, Haymarket is hosting today and tomorrow with lots of different vendors. There will be an array of affordable produce to choose from. The Haymarket is also located next to the North End, so you can even grab a bite to eat afterwards in one of Boston's best dining areas. That's all from me over here, so let's send it back to Addison and Alex at the desk.
Thanks so much, Chloe. That'll do it for this episode of Good Morning BU. Be sure to tune in next week as we get a deeper look behind the scenes at the Charles River Regatta.
And Halloween is just around the corner. Our entertainment correspondents check out the festivities at this year's Halloween Festival.
On behalf of us all here at GMBU, thanks so much for watching. I'm Addison Cummings.
And I'm Alex Dowd. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else? Or will you dare do something different? Like be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills, the smarts. Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget. That'd be cool. Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself? What are you gonna make of me?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.